Today, we are going to be diving into the key to keeping maintenance costs low in rental property investing. Hello and welcome everybody to the weekly edition of the Not Your Average Investor Show. My name is Gregg Cohen. I'm the host. Pablo is out gallivanting at a conference, so we're going to miss him today, but we have an incredible guest right alongside me here. We have a true construction expert, not only in the field of construction, but the way of JWB construction. In 2025, he oversaw over $60 million worth of construction, including building new construction homes, renovations, and property turns. He's celebrating his 10-year JWB work anniversary this August, which we're super pumped about. He was the star of the property tour for the Not Your Average Investor Summit here recently. He hails from France, a global ambassador in Pétanque.
That's right.
If you know Pétanque, you know. He's JWB's Senior Superintendent of Construction, Mr. Tom Leon. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We are going to have a ton of fun in the session today, and I do want to give everybody just a friendly reminder. We do have our quarterly Q2 2026 Jacksonville real estate market update coming up next week. That's Tuesday, March 24th at 12:30 Eastern. Guys, this is the quarterly presentation that we put the most time, effort, preparation, diligence into preparing all of you for the quarter ahead. So you are going to want to be there. We'll update you on home prices, rent, inventory in Jacksonville. We're also going to talk about how the Iran war is affecting rental property investors. We're also going to be talking about this institutional ban on home purchases. How is that affecting homeowners? How is that affecting investors? And then, like we always tend to do, we're going to debunk some of these myths that are out there, and specifically some of these headlines that are regarding home sales and pricing. So I think you guys are in for a real treat. I'm super pumped about it. If you're here in the audience right now, just show up. You've already got the link. If you're listening in podcast land or on YouTube, then you'll want to go to nyais.com, and then you can get a free registration link to join us live in the audience. And with that, Tom, man, today we're here to talk about something that's really important in the minds of investors.
Right.
Many investors lose sleep over maintenance costs. It's not just the bills, though. Many investors are uncertain of who's making the decisions,
right,
how to make those decisions, and when the decisions are made, whether or not the work is being done right. So today we're going to peel back the curtain on our system, which protects investors from unnecessary costs and confusion and stress. And we have about the best guy I can think of to shed some light with us here. So thank you very much for being with us today, bud.
Thank you for having me. I'm really, really flattered and thrilled to be here with you and with all you guys. This is a great time.
Well, you know, I told Tom, well, Tom was here on the summit, but it's his first time on the show. And I said, you know what, you're going to be surrounded with the most warm, loving community here. So if you guys could give Tom some love, I know he'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it, because this is kind of like one of my only times hosting the show this year without Pablo. So we could all use the love and support. And again, if anybody has any questions that you'd like for us to answer throughout the show, go ahead and post them into the Q&A. I'll do my best to answer those throughout if they're pertinent to what we're chatting about at that moment, but we will have some time at the end to answer those questions as well. I thought it'd be great for us to kind of set the stage, though. Under Tom's supervision here with JWB Construction, there is a lot of volume. There is a lot of experience here. So I just pulled some of the stats from 2025. Tom's team built 337 new construction homes just last year. The average build time for those homes was 144 days, which is really wonderful. And the volume of construction dollars that is under his supervision is really staggering. It's over $62 million of construction just on those new construction homes. But that's not all. There's also maintenance and property turns, which are under the construction umbrella as well at JWB. So last year, we completed 1,431 property turns. The average turn time is 10 days to be able to turn that property. And the the volume of construction dollars for those turns is over $6 million. So, Tom, over $70 million, almost $70 million of construction under your purview. It's about $6 million that you're spending each month on construction. That's a tall task, man. That's a pretty busy guy.
We're pretty busy. Looking at it this way, looking at the big picture and the full numbers, you easily get going on your daily and one job at a time. And looking at the big picture, that's definitely a busy schedule.
I don't know if I just stressed you out a little bit more by pulling those numbers or not, but he's got a lot of responsibility under his shoulder, and that's really great for all of us here today because, as we mentioned, Tom's been on our team almost 10 years.
Yep.
If you're doing that type of volume in just 1 year, and he's been on our team for 10 years leading us from the construction side, you can imagine that if it happens in the construction world, especially in the rental property investing world, Tom has seen it. Tom has been able to work through the process, make those great decisions, and we're here today to help you all with any questions you may have. But I thought we'd start our conversation today more of just let's just start general with an understanding of what does the JWB in-house construction team do, and would you mind just sharing your specific role in how we do all of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the team is really composed of 3 departments. We have the renovations and property turns team. We have the maintenance team, and we have the new construction team. Everybody, tremendous team. We have a lot of people that are very, very good at what they do, very knowledgeable, and operate really well together. So, let's start with new construction. For example, the idea of new construction, our goal is to build very charming homes. All of you guys who have been here during the summit have seen houses, have toured the houses, were able to walk some of them and take a look at them. Our goal is to build charming houses that are designed to fit basically within any infill lot. Our specialty is infill lot. So it's one lot between 2 existing houses. That's what we're looking to do. And there's going to be a common thread here between all sides, renovations, turns, new construction, is to create a house that will perform well for everybody. On the renovations and turn side of the team, the renovations department will take a look at every house that we purchase, inspect every house, look for major issues that are or could become a problem in the future that could be costly if not addressed. And also we'll be writing a scope to bring a house to the JWB standard. Something we're very proud of. It's very nice walking away from one of those houses and looking at it. I mean, it's seeing the house the way it looks right now. And then the property turns team is the team that is going to take your house when it becomes resident again. When when the lease comes to an end, the resident moves out, and now it's time to get the house ready to be put back on the market and rented as quick as possible, of course. And then we have the maintenance team, which is the team that works tirelessly every day to address any issues that may be happening with the house while the house is occupied. So my role with the team, well, I have been here almost 10 years, right? So like Gregg said a minute ago, been fortunate to serve every aspects of this construction team. When I first came on 10 years ago, I came on as a pre-construction coordinator. So my role was mainly to write a scope on every single house that we purchased, look at it as critical as possible with the idea of creating a performing asset for our clients, that includes owners and renters, for our turns team down the road, making sure we were not leaving anything, we're not kicking the can down the road for them to address later. Mm-hmm. And so also assigning vendors, a pool of vendors. Renovations on average have 16 vendors per job. Everybody specialized in their trade, all licensed, insured trade specialists, and assigning a JWB superintendent to run that project. So that was the first part. And then I was able to assist a little bit on the property turns as well for a while, writing scopes, running some turns. And later on, I just handled all aspects of renovations. So it was still the scope writing, vendor assignment, and I would be running the jobs as well. When the market turned a little bit but away from renovations, and volume was such that it didn't take 2 people to run this. Mm-hmm. Then it became just me doing it.
Mhm.
I was able to assist maintenance with some what we call construction services work orders. We'll get back to construction services later, but I was able to run some of those maintenance tickets that really called for having eyes on the ground. And for the last year and a half, I moved over to the new construction team.
Mhm.
So servicing all sides of our construction team.
I think it's really cool when you think about, it's hard to find a good construction professional to be able to manage something for you. If somebody who owns rental properties, you know how difficult it is to find a good contractor or a construction professional. But even if you do, it's not like they have insight into the teammates that are maybe right next to them to set
Yes.
it up for success, right?
Yes.
When I think about your experience here, not only have you done millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of construction, but you have been there side by side with the acquisitions team when we're talking
Totally.
about scope writing, right?
Yes.
You're there literally the first day before we actually start the construction and partnering up on the acquisition side. Then there's the construction side, but you're right alongside the property management team as well when we're making those decisions. So the breadth of knowledge and the what, we can't just think singularly about how do we attack this one maybe problem that we have. We have to think about it from all sides. It's really a special privilege that we have to be able to share with everybody here, to have you here. And that's kind of that value of that vertically integrated model. So that's really the lens that we're going to be able to help you guys with today, is that breadth of knowledge and that different angles of the problem to make sure that not only you as the investor are protected, but how is your resident experience protected as well?
Totally.
You mentioned there a couple of things that I'll just kind of tag onto here. Renovations are a much smaller period or point of what we do now compared to new construction. And so now you're spending the majority of your time on the new construction side.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. If we built 337 homes last year, maybe we did maybe 30 renos or 50 renos or something along those lines, a really small number, right?
Very, very small number. Yes, very small number.
Yeah, and that's really more of the state of the market and what is really working well for clients right now. And the fact that there's just very little existing inventory out there to be able to renovate.
Yes.
So that's why one of the reasons Tom has shifted the majority of his time over to the new construction side, but he's been there on the renovation side, the new construction side, the maintenance side. And then something else you mentioned there, I'd love for you to share a little bit more insight into. I think you mentioned that on average there are 16 trades.
Yes.
Per renovation and still a healthy amount of trades on a property turn. Can you talk about what management of 16 trades looks like and feels like for a renovation or a property turn?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, on renovation, so we make sure that the work, in order to produce the volume that we're talking about, it's very, very difficult. It would be very difficult to get one person, one vendor to handle a large portion of that scope. And it also would become an issue potentially with maintenance, long-term maintenance, and really expertise in each field, right? So we will have those 16 vendors. There's going to be a demo crew, debris removal crew. There's going to be a generalist. There's going to be a licensed and insured plumber, AC vendor, electrician, roofer, a septic vendor if the house happens to be on septic. We have a vendor that does only kitchen cabinets. We have everybody specialized that way. So luckily, we work with a certain pool of vendors. We have a pool of vendors that we onboard that we work with all the time. So usually, if I'm having to call an electrician to schedule 3 different jobs, 3 different projects to complete, I'm going to have 1, maybe 2 vendors to reach out to schedule those. But that's usually what we're going to be looking at. 16 there on property turns. The scope of work, ideally, and 99% of the time is going to be much, much lighter than a renovation. We're going to have on average 5 to 6 vendors on the turn. So we're going to have to actively manage that job and make sure that we optimize the timeline on everything and making sure that everybody completes what they're expected to do at different phases. Some vendors have to come twice to a job, right? You have the plumbers, the electricians, they're going to come and do what you call a ROF at first, prepping, and then you're going to have to patch drywall, flooring, paint, all that stuff, install cabinets, and at the end of the job, they're going to need to come back to do what you call a trim, install the finishes, basically. So that's the idea of that property management, is having somebody in place that can schedule all these vendors to come back to back in the right order and not create bottlenecks, not basically cost time. And as we all know, time, if a house is under construction, whether it's a renovation or a turn, I mean, it's not on the market.
Right.
And it's not being seen, so it's not generating money
Mhm.
for anybody.
Yeah. And you know, the majority of folks listening are interested in the passive approach to real estate.
Yes.
But sometimes people think they want the passive approach to real estate, but they find themselves in the active approach.
Yes.
And one of the ways that they actually find themselves in the active approach is they say, oh, well, you know what? I can just buy the property and then I'll just renovate it myself, or I'll have my team of contractors. Well, you know, managing 16 contractors, getting them to show up on time, having the professional scope prepared, and then holding them accountable to finish. That doesn't sound very passive to me.
It's not passive at all. It's I mean, it's a full-time job for some of us. So
right.
it's
you
the
want
opposite.
Tom doing that, not you.
It's the opposite of passive. Definitely.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about those vendor relationships, because they're so critical to you, to JWB, to all of you out there, even though you might not ever will likely never meet one of the contractors that we work with. Talk about those relationships, and how does that translate into real savings for an investor who might be listening in?
Yeah, absolutely. We work, like I said a minute ago, we work with a similar pool. There's one pool of vendors that we work with. We spend tremendous amount of efforts onboarding vendors and making sure that they understand what we're trying to do here, right? So we will meet with every vendor at the onboard phase of it, of any of them. They may contact us directly, expressing desire to work with us, or another vendor might recommend somebody. Really, in order to make all of this work, we have to make sure that our vendors can produce quality product. They are available to work when work comes, and they can complete that project in a timely manner, right? It needs to be happening. Everything is urgent, basically. Everything is, the job comes out, it's available, we write a scope, and you know, it goes very quick. Our turns team, when your house becomes vacant, will be at your house in half a day right now, half a day from possession, to write a scope and send it to portfolio manager to get approval. Well, from there, portfolio manager will get approval from the owner. The job starts. And that means people have to be ready to jump on that project right away, well, within a day, right? Depending on when they will be scheduled to start. So we'll interview all those people. We'll explain to them what we do, how we do it. It's very important. Kind of like the sales funnel. When clients talk to our sales team, you guys are going to get to know each other to confirm that we're a good fit for each other. We do the same thing with our vendors, making sure that they understand what we're doing. And then from there, we'll talk to them about how we operate. We work with a chart of accounts system for all material pricing, so we don't have to waste time, basically, you know, calling somebody and say, hey, we have a job on 123 Main. I need you to go and look at it, and I need you to give me a quote for this amount of work.
Right.
And then they'll go when they can or when they want, and then you get the quote. Okay, well, now we have to get everybody's quote. If you have 5-6 vendors on the turn, you have to do that 5-6 times.
Right.
We don't have time to do that, because again, your house is not on the market. It's not making money. It's costing you money at that point. So chart of accounts takes care of those issues. We show them to those vendors. We show that chart of account to those vendors for their trade. Gives them an idea of what we pay per square foot for paint, what we pay to install a door. Everything is broken down, basically, down to the doorstop. Sometimes on a renovation, we break it down to that point. Once we agree, if we agree that we're a good fit for each other, now those vendors are working with us and are available all the time. Now that becomes the very fun part, is now we're getting to know each other at every project that we're doing. We get to know who's good at what. So when we assign a project, there may be a slight nuance on the house that would make this guy better than that guy, maybe. Now we can get this guy on it, and now the house is done better and quicker. Quicker means savings, right, for our client. And one of the biggest wins of those relationships that we build, those partnerships that we build with the vendors, is now we're able to come up with bulk pricing, for example. The greatest example I can tell you is paint, for example. Paint is, every one of our houses inside is painted the same color.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And that applies to flooring. Same flooring goes down, same cabinets go in place, same tile in the tile enclosure at the renovation phase. The reason for that is, one, we can get better pricing for that. Two, we don't have to waste time. Again, time, that aspect, that matter of time. We don't have to waste time deciding what's going to go in the house.
Mm-hmm.
We already know, so let's not waste any time. Let's
Mm-hmm.
not spend time deciding what goes. We already know. So it's just a matter of, hey, this is the cost. Let's make it happen. Let's do it so we can get the house back on the market, right? So paint, I'm talking about paint. We have such a relationship with one of our vendors, which is Sherwin-Williams. We're able to get some super paint, some great quality paints for us, maybe $20 a gallon, versus average Joe will go to the store and will pay $80 for a gallon of that paint.
Yeah.
We have major savings stemming from that. And those savings are passed right on to our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that line item pricing that we're talking about here is a huge reduction in the cost component. And you only get that when you start to do that level of construction, and you've been in business for 20 years and whatnot. But the reason why these contractors that we get to work with are super excited to work with JWB and to be able to, accept a lower cost on both the labor and the material side is because of the volume of work and because of our relationships. And I believe a lot of it is how we pay too. Do we pay, is it every other week or something along those lines? We pay very quick compared to.
We pay weekly.
Weekly still.
Weekly
Okay.
still, yeah. Vendors, so it's definitely a great selling point to get these vendors they'll be willing to work with us. They will want to work with us because instead of some other clients of theirs that will pay 60, 90 days, whatever work they got completed in the last week, the superintendent in charge of that project will approve that payment and they will get paid within days from that.
And that is critical. If you want to maintain a really wonderful working relationship with anybody, you got to understand what's important to them and what's important to us. And paying weekly and always paying is really important in the contractor space. So this is some of the stuff behind the scenes that your team, if they are vertically integrated like we are, this team can create huge cost savings for you. Not just in the materials cost, but we talked about time savings.
Time saving.
Right? If we start to think about it, every day that your home is off the market and not renting, it might cost $50 or $75 an opportunity cost of it just literally not being on the market to rent. So if we have, through years and years and years of establishing line item pricing and through sometimes many months of interviewing contractors and getting them to understand and buy into the way of doing things within JWB's way, so that when your property turn comes up, Tom can make a phone call and somebody's there that day to be able to solve the problem instead of getting quotes and back and forth times 6 different vendors. This is how we produce hundreds and thousands of dollars of savings on a maintenance turn. Did I miss anything there?
I would add another way that we create savings for our clients is, you brought up earlier, maybe bringing a contractor, an outside contractor to do your work. That contractor is going to look at you as a one-time client.
Sure.
He's going to look at you as somebody to whom he can charge a premium, and then he will move on, and it doesn't have to look back at your property after the fact. For us, we renovate these homes no matter how old they are. I've worked on renovations that were very quick and very affordable, and I worked on houses that were the price of a brand new house, pretty much, right?
I've seen this.
But we look at it with an investor point of view. We try to think like an investor because this is what we do, and we want to maximize the return on it by doing the right amount of work up front. We're not going to take shortcuts on things that actually need to be done. So when the house gets purchased by somebody, they should only have small things or fairly surprise us.
Sure.
Surprises happen. We don't have a crystal ball, but we really push to get to produce a performing asset, looking at it like an investor. Our turns team guys are really, really great at looking at that. And when they're writing their scope, asking themselves, well, does it actually have to be replaced right now?
Right.
Right? There may be something that's slightly cosmetic that needs to scratch on flooring or something like this. Is he going to keep the house from renting? Maybe our client just purchased this house last year and they've only generated so much return, so much income on that house. If we replace this flooring in a large living room on this house, that's going to put a serious dent on that return.
Sure.
Right? So we look at everything that has to be done at the house, and we actually ask ourselves whether it needs to be done right now, or is it something that can be maybe carried through one more lease term? So there's a lot of value we try to bring to you guys right now, thinking like an investor.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a real expert analysis that needs to go into every single one of those decisions, right? When it comes to some of the bigger ticket items, your major mechanicals, those items that need to be fixed right now, we need to make sure that we have an expert to assess that and say, you know what, that needs to be done right away. But in rental property investing and property management, there are probably, 5 times or 10 times or 20 times as many decisions of it could go either way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be done right now. And if you're with a team that is always go, 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 fix, and it really wasn't necessary to drive a return on your investment, then you're going to be in a tough spot. And if you're with a team that doesn't have the expertise to say, you know what, that's a major issue. If we don't fix that right now, it's only going to get worse, then you're going to be in a tough spot. You need to work with a team that kind of sees it from all those different lenses. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yep. All right. Well, cool, man. It's, we were talking a little about those cost savings. That's $80 a gallon of paint to $20 a gallon.
Yeah.
That's a huge cost savings. I think we were kind of like ballparking what line item pricing kind of means for our clients in terms of savings. Somewhere about maybe 20 to maybe 30% of a discount to retail is what you're able to get with that.
That sounds about right. You have the items where we have big savings. Every one of those items on a chart of account is not necessarily a home run, but some of them we're going to pick. We're not going to have that emotional connection with the house. We're not looking to put items in the house as if we were moving in it.
Right.
We're going to look at the house as looking to build a clean, good-looking item unit that will perform, right? So where if you, Greg, you have a vanity to replace at your house, you're gonna go to Lowe's and you're gonna pick the vanity Greg wants at the house.
Greg's wife wants.
Oh, Greg's wife wants. For me, if I'm looking at somebody's property who's a rental unit, I'm not gonna go with the item that Greg's wife wants for their house. I'm gonna go with something that is, again, clean, that will do the job, and that is not so cheap that it will fail within a year. It's something that will be there and that will do his job. So there's a saving there as well for everybody. It's picking what is needed and not what. It's the need versus want item.
Well, that's wonderful. I just saw a question here from Pankaj. And I think it applies here. He says, how does the team from JWB Property Management ensure that the quality of the scope of work completed per standards and our vendor payments held back if they need to go back and correct the items not completed properly? So maybe this is a good time to talk about, we mentioned the JWB standard. Maybe if you could explain what the JWB standard really is and what it looks like, and then maybe we can answer Pankaj's question as well.
Absolutely. It's the JWB standard. We look at every house looking to produce something that anybody will look. It doesn't matter what they're looking at. If they know it's a JWB house, they know what they're getting, right? So when I'm going to dial back to the renovations, because that's when a lot of those decisions are made, new construction and renovations. When walking that house, we're going to look at the flooring. If you have tile that is not cracked, wonderful. That's something that should perform. We're going to leave it alone. But if you have vinyl plank down, if you have carpets down, if the kitchen cabinets, we all know kitchens and bathrooms are a big seller for people, for somebody, for a prospect that was looking at the house. These items that people will look at and go, yeah, I can see myself cooking in this kitchen.
Right.
I cook at my house, and when I look at a house, I like to see a clean, functional, almost new looking kitchen. I like that, right? So the JWB standard is having a good flooring throughout the house. something modern and clean and sleek almost. A lot of times, more than not, we'd replace the kitchen cabinets and countertops in those houses, and it's not going to be something that will fall apart the second you put a drop of water on it. Right. Something that's going to be somewhat resistant, that's going to do well. It's going to be looking at those mechanical items. We're going to look at an AC unit, for example. If the AC unit doesn't have 10 years of life, at least, left on it, we're going to put a brand new unit at JWB, and all of this is at JWB's expense, not at the investor's expense.
That's a good point.
That's something that we're doing to produce that item. So when our sales team is talking to you about your return on investment, we actually don't make liars out of them. The house actually does that. We will look at piping in the house. If it's not CPVC, I know we have people here that are coming for logged in from all over the country and other countries. Here in Florida, you want CPVC or you want PEX in the new construction. Anything that was permitted recently is good, but renovations, if we didn't have CPVC, we completely repipe the house, hot and cold. We would inspect the drain lines, right? You don't want to buy this house, have a resident in there, and turns out you have a collapsed cast iron drain pipe under the house. That's an expensive one. Right. So we're going to inspect, we get every renovation as a plumber, cameraing, snaking and running a camera down the drains. Roofing, same thing. If we don't have 10 years left on the roof, JWB puts a brand new roof on the house. And then the full repaint, of course. Usually the JWB house, when we're done with it, is going to be the best looking house on the block. Unless we already just built or renovated one next door. Right? And now we have more and more houses in some areas, so we're getting more and more beautiful houses on the block, right? So that's the JWB standard. To me, it's producing a house that I can pass on to our team, to our leasing team for them to rent this house, our sales team to sell the house to an investor, our maintenance team to not have big items to take care of. And you know, the snowball thing, right? Everybody, once that house is out on the market, everybody's touching the house. So that's the standard. He's looking at this house and not creating issues for others and creating return for our clients.
That right there was really, really key. You don't hear that type of kind of holistic view of construction from a normal contractor base. You get that when it's a part of a vertically integrated team, because you sit right next to property management.
We do.
Who would be inheriting the problems with the property if it wasn't done to that standard. So I thought that was really cool. Pankaj's question is a little bit more as we address the standards part of it. What do we do if a vendor didn't complete something properly? Do we hold back payments, or how do we handle that?
Absolutely. Well, so we complete at the end of every project a QC, quality control walk. Every superintendent is trained. We all know what the house is supposed to look like, right? So if we go there and the house doesn't pass that punch inspection, the house is not going to market and that vendor is coming back. We do hold back payments on certain trades. Some vendors, they worked with us so long that even if maybe they got paid here, there's going to be another job that we can hold the payment from.
Sure.
We can make it painful enough for them to be motivated to come back and actually fix that issue. So we definitely do that, but we do QC walks. That's one of my main roles in new construction too now, is making sure, because people would think a new construction house, well, it's brand new, so what can be wrong?
Right.
And some people can cut corners, right? Some things can be not quite finished. Somebody might walk this house. You don't want to put a house on the market and a potential renter comes to the house and looks at something and goes, really, this is a brand new house. They did all this, they could not do that. Those quality control walks on turns, on renovations, as well as new construction, they're a vital part of the quality there.
Yeah, so on the QC walk is vital, like you're mentioning, and it's I think on the renovation there's a you know, we would be able to make it painful for somebody if they didn't get the work done the right way.
Yes.
And hold back payments in other places. Talk about it from the property management lens or from a client lens during a property turn.
Mhm.
What would happen if we had a, let's say, $2,500 scope of work for a property turn, and would the payment ever be made to the owner, excuse me,
To the vendor?
to the vendor without the work being done?
Maybe a portion of it, right? So on the property turn, the vendor that gets the majority of the work on your average turn is going to be what you call a generalist. Is the guy who's going to come, the vendor who's going to come over and paint the house, maybe replace some blinds, replace a door, something like that. So for those, we issue a portion of the payment as the work gets done, and they do not see the rest of that payment until the house, not only until they finished, completed their scope, but until the house has gone to market. So if the house, there's a portion that we hold back.
So
yeah,
there's a little bit of a difference there between how renovations are handled, because it's JWB's money that we're spending. It's not your money, it's our money. And then of course there's a tremendous amount of volume when it comes to new construction and renovations and whatnot. When it comes to a property turn, that's your money that we're administering. So there's a level of an additional level of scrutiny and making sure that your money is spent very wisely there. I want to talk a little bit about, this is kind of a good segue into talking about the mindset between maybe a renovation and a property turn. Can you talk about how we make decisions slightly different when it's a renovation that we're doing for a property that we are renovating to then sell to a client, versus how we would handle maybe some difficult decisions for a property turn, which is when you as an owner own the property and we are, of course, renovating it to get back into rental shape?
absolutely. So the renovation is the part of in the life cycle of the project where we're going to be creating, building an asset, a performing asset. I usually like to use, I'm a sucker for examples and analogies. Okay, so I usually like to look at a race car, a race team. The renovation is going to be the team that's building a car to put on that track and go an endurance race, right? To run as efficiently and as well as possible. So the renovation is going to put everything in there, like we just talked about, solid plumbing, electrical, roofing. If the house is on septic, have that septic inspected, replaced if it's not good. We're going to do everything we can to put that performing product and to put it in the hands of our clients and of our team. And then the property turns team is going to be more like the pit crew. That's, the house is performing, it's occupied, it's running, and then somebody moves out. Well, it's time to pit that car, right? It's time to get it in there. And the turns team is going to be the team that's going to do what's needed to put the house back on that track. So it's going to be ideally that little paint touch up, maybe not. It's going to be those little things to make the house market ready again and put it back in the performance, in the race. So that's going to be, to me, I'm hoping I'm making sense with that, but to me, I like examples. They speak to me more than definitions, mostly with my funny accent. Some of you probably don't, but, and I'm sorry about that. So
you and Reggie Fonse are having a ball today. Everybody else, I don't know. Just joking.
But the mentality with the decision making, well, renovations, do everything we can to create a house that is big maintenance free. I keep coming back to that because really that's what it is. Don't have a can that you're kicking down the road for others to address. You address everything right now. That's how we're thinking. Like, we're going to do that. We have a budget. We're given by acquisitions up front. We work closely with acquisitions to make sure that those budgets are proper. They give us the what we need to do what's right by the house. And sometimes if the budget was not even there, we still do it. And then we learn from there and we meet. And then there goes meetings to talk about it, so then it doesn't happen again, right? But so we still want to make the right decision by the house. On the property turns, we're gonna wear a different cap. We're gonna wear that investor cap.
Right.
We're gonna look at the house. I was saying that a little bit earlier. Do I need to do that right now? Does this need to be done right now? Or can it go one more lease term? If we can rent your house again for another 2, 3 years, 5 years, without spending the money to replace a couple scratched up flooring planks, absolutely we're going to do it, because it might cost you $1,000 to replace flooring in an area, that would not keep the house from renting. You have to look at the house as if it was occupied. So we look at the house, we're writing a scope, we're doing a turn, the house is empty. There's nothing in there. Okay. Well, it's a living room. Maybe those scratches are in the middle of that living room. Maybe somebody's going to put a couch over that when they move in, and they will never see that scratch.
Right.
Why spending the investor's money to replace that? Now, if there's a gaping hole on the floor, yeah, we're going to need to do it, because now you're going to have a problem that can become worse. Two, you might also draw a resident that if you show them that we didn't care about the house to the point that we're leaving something big unaddressed, why should they? I'm not saying they're right to feel that way, but unfortunately you come across a lot of people that feel that way. Yeah. So renovations, we really try to do what's right by the house. I always picture after finishing a renovation, being at a grocery store, turning into an aisle, and it's nobody but me and my cart and the guy down the aisle who just moved into that house. Am I going to want to turn around and go to the next aisle and avoid eye contact? Or am I going to go, hey, great, let's see this guy, and walk down the aisle and greet him and say, how's the house doing? Yeah. We definitely want to be the latter. Yeah. Right? That's what we do on a renovation. So renovations, we do what we do right by the house and bring it to a standard. On the turn, we think like an investor.
Yeah. There's nowhere to hide for a business like JWB, right? We control all aspects of it, which we love, and that forces us to be accountable for all aspects of it.
It's a guarantee for people, right? It's not like we have a house that we did one time and then we turn it back we'll set it free and never look at it again. We're going to manage that house. Right. We're going to manage your assets. So if we don't address something now and something comes back and bites us,
you hear about it from the.
I hear about it. I'm going to have maintenance coming to me and say, "What were you thinking?"
Yeah.
So that's almost a guarantee that we're looking at these houses and really, really trying to do what's right by it.
And I really like your racing analogy too. I had never heard it before. We were just preparing for this, an hour or so before the show, and you mentioned it to me. So I'm starting to think, my kids are young, and we've watched Cars like 1,000 times.
There you go.
And just watched it, a couple of weeks ago with my son again. And so I'm thinking, if we think about the pit crew from the property turn perspective, Lightning McQueen is going to fight his pit crew to come in. He does not want to come off the track to go and fix something that doesn't need to be fixed, right?
That's right.
But his pit crew is going to say, Lightning, get your butt over here. We got to fix this in order for you to be able to finish the race.
That's it.
It's kind of like what the construction team is.
That's exactly what we're doing.
I like that. All right, there we go.
That's exactly what we're doing.
I think very simply over here, so hopefully that helps all of you guys. But there's a lot of things that we will do differently to renovate a home or build a new home before it goes to a client. We'll spend money that we wouldn't spend on our own homes because it's a different process. It's a different thing that we are accomplishing. We are selling an asset to you, and we are promising to you, hey, listen, you are not going to have deferred maintenance. And we also know that there's one way to really sour a really great relationship right off the bat. It's to build a home or renovate a home and then have maintenance costs. Expensive maintenance costs right off the bat. So there's a different mindset there for the renovation, new construction versus the pit crew.
Yes.
All right, Tom, it's we got about 10 minutes left, and you got a bunch of questions. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I mean, I can't see what the total number of folks on the call is, but it was almost 90 or 100 early on. So I tell you what, you bring the Frenchmen out here, they come and hang out with us, man. That is a really well attended show. So thank you all for being here. And we have, I think, 8 or 10 questions here. So we're gonna go through these and see what we've got. We've got the MVP said, it's such a great turnout to see Tom. He did a great job answering some tough questions during the tour. He gave thoughtful explanations and had everybody enthralled. Thank you for your time today as well.
Thank you, Lee, very much.
There's the MVP there showing up for you. Thank you, Lee, for being here as always, buddy. All right, we've got the Maven, Leslie Wilson. She said, how does one become a preferred vendor with JWB? Can you give us some insight into what that process looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we onboard vendors, it's really, it's very organic once they're on board. Performance is going to be key. Truthfulness and honesty is going to be something. in my 10 years here, have seen a lot of vendors, and sometimes I know their performance better than them at some point. I have vendors that would think it will take them 10 days to complete a job, and I've seen them do that very job in 8 days.
You mean their numbers better than they do? That's shocking in the contracting world, right?
It happens. It happens, at least for timeline. We work with them every day. It's the same guys that come every day. So it does not take long to see how honest and truthful a vendor is going to be. And we're actively on the jobs regularly, almost daily sometimes, some of them, depending on our volume. We see real time what's happening. And when we see that the vendor is communicating something with us and we actually get to confirm it ourselves, this is great. That's a great point. That's a great starting point with a vendor. And when they perform within allocated costs, if you can uncover issues at times when you're working on a house, if what they bring up to your attention during the turn or during their work, if you confirm that, that's another plus, for them. You said earlier, having been here 10 years, if something's happened in a house, we've seen it. I know I've seen a lot of it. I would not say I've seen it all, because there's still room for surprises, but we've seen a lot of it. So a lot of issues that come up, we've seen them and we've learned how to deal with them. But yes, I mean, our vendors, they come on board, they perform, they jump. When we ask them to jump, we remain fair. We're fair to each other. We create a partnership.
Right.
They treat us well, we treat us well. And that's what we do. And that's how you do it.
That's really awesome. Leslie mentioned here preferred vendor within JWB. And I'm curious, do we have our call it standard vendors and then preferred vendors once somebody is in our network?
We know our model works based on volume, right? So we really only onboard what we need as far as vendors go.
Right.
We don't have 10 electricians in our pool. We have one, maybe two, and as long as those two can handle the volume, we have no reason to onboard more.
Right.
So we may have in some areas, we're going to try to keep on your property. If you own 3 properties, let's say, and one electrician completed the reno on those 3 properties, it's going to be who we're going to call for maintenance. It's going to be your preferred vendor per se for your properties, because they're the ones who saw the house through construction.
Probably has some type of warranty as well. So if something
likely, right? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff. Thank you for the question, Leslie. Jag says, when you address turns, do you use standard items like replacement hardware, paint colors, etc., across all of your homes?
Yes, we do. We do. There's one little variance, which is exterior doors. Now, used to be when I came on board, every one of our houses was gray with white trim and black door. A little bit before I came on, the houses were cream with white trim and a red door. So now we're getting such presence in some areas of Jacksonville that everything would be the same gray, white, and black. So we started putting different colors on the exterior doors to give a little accent, but even those are not randomly picked. We have a pool of colors. So everything is itemized. It's the same door that's going to go in there, the same vanity, the same flooring. Everything is the same.
Very good. Very good. This is a question we were talking about before on the way over here. The patron Santorio says, can Tom explain the reason for the change in flooring back to carpets versus vinyl?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes. So during the summit, that was one of the questions actually was about flooring and maintenance. We learn as we go. We get presented products and we start using those products, and then maybe they perform and we keep using them, maybe something else better comes along and we go to something better that comes along. We used to avoid carpet because carpet, a lot of people don't take care of their houses. We would have a lot of stains. And that could deter people from being there. There could be things in the carpet that could make them smell. Well, since then, we tried for a while, we tested for a while, and we're past that testing phase now. We were presented a product, a carpet that is supposedly indestructible.
That's what it's
right?
called, right?
Yeah, you cannot, it's more of a commercial grade, so it's made for heavier traffic. So it's going to be heavier duty, but also you cannot stain that carpet. Somebody can drop tomato sauce on it and pour bleach on it to clean it. And what they did is the color is through the thread. So even if you pour bleach on it, you're not going to have a white stain. You're still going to have the carpet the same way. And we tested that for a while on our own houses. And so far, so great. So we started using it on property turns in any room that is not a water room. So living rooms, bedrooms, always, we might put carpet for a cost that is much less than plank. We're big fans of plank, but truth be told, you can replace carpet, install carpet and replace it like twice. So 3 cycles for the same cost as a vinyl plank. So the idea is to think, everything, the cost of everything has gone up during COVID and some of it stayed up. Well, your return doesn't quite work if your turns and your maintenance costs more. So we're constantly trying to find ways to reduce the turn cost to keep your return safe.
And it all comes back to thinking like an investor, because, ultimately our length of stay for our residents has gotten longer and longer. It's about 4.5 years. And at the same time, the durability, the quality of the carpet product is elevated now.
Yes.
It's different than, the carpet you would just be able to get off of the street. So that's a value that we're able to get because of who we are and how long we've been doing it. And when you put both of those things together and we think about it from an investor lens, you know what? Now carpet makes sense.
Now it makes sense.
Now
it did not then, it does now.
It did not then, it does now. And so ultimately it's going to save not just money day one, but over the long haul, it should increase your return on investment. And that's the type of decision that will evolve over years. And it may be different, 5 years from today, the cost of vinyl might come down significantly.
Everything changes.
Who knows, but
Yes.
You want somebody driving that decision. So I really appreciate that question. There was a few questions about that. So thank you, Michael. And great answer there. We're gonna, man, we've got probably 5 or 6 questions here. We're gonna do 2 more here. Roger asks, are the owners involved in any of the decisions on a property turn?
The homeowners?
Yeah, like the client.
So we really want to go with the passive approach, right? So our scope writers, who also are the superintendents running the turns, on the turns team will go to the house and write the scope based on the JWB standard. And the items where we're talking about chart of accounts earlier, we're talking about items that we install the same vanity, everything, right? The same paint color. It's really important that we stick to that. They're going to write a scope based on that. Then they will send the scope to the portfolio manager, who then will submit it to the homeowner to approve it, to review it, approve it. As far as input from the owner, you can review it and decide if something maybe you feel may not be necessary right now. Usually, I'm a little bit biased. I'm on the construction team, so I'm going to say that if a scope writer put it on the scope, they probably feel that it's necessary for the performance of the house. Otherwise, they probably would not put it there. Now, as far as owner input, if it's owner asking for an input over what product, what color, what we're going to put in there, usually not. I would really urge people to steer away from that, because then the return that we promise is based on that material installed in the houses. If you now start asking for different colors, different things, long-term maintenance, if we have to send maintenance when the house is occupied, send a vendor to do a repair and they show up with gray paint, but you had them put white paint on the wall, now it's a problem. And now it's a cost that you may not have had if we stuck to that scope and that chart of account and the agreed upon materials.
And, technically you always have a say. It's your house. You're right. You're hiring us to do the management of it. So we always present a scope and we have to get approval to spend your money over a certain threshold. I think it's $500, I believe.
I think $400 or $500.
Or $500. So you always have the final say. But you're hiring us for a reason, because we've done this for 20 years and have done this thousands of times. So you're probably going to want to take our 2 cents and move forward with that scope. But you do have the ability to, of course, see it, approve it, and then we get to do our work here.
We do need your trust. while understanding that, you know, the funds and the money can be a deciding factor, obviously, on the turn, on what you can and cannot do. So it's going to be a balance of those two.
Tom, we killed it, man. You killed it.
Thank
The
you.
community killed it.
Thank you guys for having me.
For being here. This is it's not easy being here in both of these seats. It's not easy, and you guys just gave us an outpouring of love and support and questions. Hope we collectively brought a lot of value to you. Tom, thank you for being here, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you
all
so
of
much.
your insight and your expertise. I do want to give everybody another reminder. Next Tuesday, it's on. It's the quarterly market update. I hope you are going to be here next Tuesday, live in the audience, 12:30 Eastern time. If you aren't in the live audience right now, if you're listening in podcast land, just go to nyais.com. I'm super pumped. It's going to be one of our absolute best. So we'll see you there next Tuesday. And lastly, Tom, got any advice for the crew here?
Just don't be average.
Don't be average.